1492, a big year. Not just any year. For Spain, it was like winning the lottery, the World Cup, and a lifetime supply of churros, all in one go. Why? Well, for starters, Ferdinand and Isabella finally got their act together and united Spain. No more squabbling monarchs, just one big, happy, about-to-be-rich kingdom. Then there was this guy, Christopher Columbus. Ever heard of him? Bit of an overachiever. He convinced the newly united Spain to fund his little trip west, hoping to find a faster route to India. Spoiler alert, he didn't. Instead, he stumbled upon this little thing we like to call the Americas. Oops. Now, you might be thinking, discovering a whole new continent? That's amazing, and you wouldn't be wrong. But it also kicked off centuries of, shall we say, complicated history for the people already living in the Americas. Let's just say it wasn't all sunshine and paella. Still, for Spain, 1492 was a pretty good year. So Spain's got its hands on this brand new land. What do? They send over a bunch of conquistadors, of course. These weren't your average tourists, though. They were more like heavily armed adventurers with a taste for gold and a talent for, let's call it, creative diplomacy. Leading the charge were guys like Hernán Cortés and Francisco Pizarro. Cortés waltzed into the Aztec Empire, befriended a woman he called La Malinche, who spoke the language, then decided to just take over. Pizarro pulled a similar trick with the Inca Empire in Peru. Let's just say the indigenous empires weren't exactly thrilled about this European housewarming party. But hey, all that conquering came with a pretty sweet perk loot. And we're not talking about your average party favors here. We're talking mountains of silver, rivers of gold, enough treasure to make even the most cynical pirate blush. Spain was rolling in it, literally swimming in New World riches. With all that newfound wealth, Spain went on a bit of a shopping spree. And by shopping spree, we mean conquering half the known world. From Mexico to the Philippines, from the Netherlands to North Africa, the Spanish flag was popping up everywhere. It was the original global empire, with territories spanning across Europe, the Americas, Asia, and Africa. The Spanish Habsburg kings were basically the rock stars of their day. They had it all: power, wealth, a truly impressive collection of codpieces. They even had time for a little family drama, because what's a royal dynasty without a little incestuous marriage to spice things up? But like all good parties, the good times couldn't last forever. The sun was about to set on the Spanish Empire, and things were about to get messy. Section 4. Armageddon. The beginning of the end? Spoiler, yes. Remember that whole invincible thing? Yeah, about that. Turns out someone forgot to tell the English Channel. In 1588, King Philip II of Spain decided it was time to teach those tea-loving Brits a lesson. He sent a massive fleet of warships, the Spanish Armada, to invade England. It was supposed to be a glorious victory, a demonstration of Spanish might. Instead, it was a bit of a disaster. Storms battered the Armada. English ships, smaller and faster, outmaneuvered the Spanish giants. And the whole thing ended with a whimper, not a bang, as the defeated Spanish limped back home. It wasn't the only reason for the empire's decline, but it was a pretty good sign that things were headed south. Literally. Section 5. The 17th century. Not Spain's best look. The 17th century was a bit of a rough patch for Spain. Imagine a really bad hangover after a century-long fiesta. The gold and silver from the Americas? Spent. The economy? In the tank. The once mighty Spanish Habsburgs? Looking a little worse for wear. They stumbled from one war to the next, battling everyone from the French to the Dutch to the Ottomans. It was like a never-ending game of Risk, and Spain kept losing territories faster than you could say Don Quixote. To make matters worse, the Spanish Inquisition decided this was the perfect time to, really lean into the whole religious persecution thing. Not exactly a recipe for national unity or economic prosperity. Section 6. Viva la Revolución! Latin America says adios. By the 19th century, Spain's American colonies had had enough. They'd spent centuries sending their riches back to the motherland, only to see Spain squander it on wars and bad decisions. It was time for a change. Inspired by the American and French revolutions, Latin America erupted in a wave of independence movements. From Mexico to Argentina, revolutionaries like Simón Bolívar and José de San Martín led the charge, kicking out the Spanish and declaring their freedom. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't easy. But it was the beginning of a new era for Latin America, and the final nail in the coffin for the once mighty Spanish Empire. Section 7. The Spanish Legacy. More than just delicious tapas. So the Spanish Empire is no more. Gone, but not forgotten. Because let's be honest, Spain's influence on the world? It's kind of everywhere. Start with the language. Spanish is spoken by over 500 million people worldwide. That's a lot of people saying hola and ordering cervezas. And let's not forget the food. From tapas to paella to churros, Spanish cuisine is a delicious reminder of the empire's reach. Then there's the art, the architecture, the music, the dance. From the masterpieces of Goya and Velázquez to the passionate rhythms of flamenco, Spain's cultural legacy is as vibrant and influential as ever. Sure, the Spanish Empire had its flaws, a lot of flaws actually, but it also left an indelible mark on the world, one that continues to shape our language, our culture, and yes, even our taste buds.